Hi, this is Nick George with Clouds Diamond Sharpening with another video for an A5 or 76. Let me start by explaining the difference. This is an A5, 2-speed, middle's off, low, high. The plates are different, the switches are different, the cords are different. The difference is a 76 is 1-speed, but they do make 76s 2-speed, but they're called Titans, and they have a long cord like an animal clipper. Barber clippers are shorter because they don't really have to move around the animal, they just move around a sitting human. Third difference is this hinge doesn't have a latch. It just has a hinge that holds the blade down. So this is an animal A5 2-speed clipper. You can change it easily by putting a 76 nameplate on it, change the hinge, change the cord, change the switch, and then it will be a fully barber clipper. But this is 2-speed, so it has a turbo gear. Doesn't matter, it would just run faster in slow speed. But anyway, so let's get started by diagnosing the problem before we even plug it in. We can just see if anything's broken. You take this lever, wiggle it back and forth. There's really not much play. But if you look at the lever, well, yeah, it's not too bad. That probably doesn't need to be replaced. Okay, so we take the hinge. Uh-oh, I can lift it. That already tells me this hinge is weak and it's not going to hold a blade down. So here's a blade. It latches. Let's see how it doesn't stay down. It's because the hinge is bad. Now it's latched. So you gotta make sure it's latched. See, it doesn't latch. So this is bent. So you can push it and then it latches. See, watch. Doesn't latch. Then you push this. That's how you know that the latch needs to be replaced or bent back straight. Alright, let's plug this in and see where we're at. There's low speed, doesn't sound bad. There's high speed, sounds pretty good for an Oster. The cord is good, and that sounds good. Okay, now you feel air coming out of the vents. That's because this is AC, so a current runs through this field, and then a current runs through the armature. So this has to cool because electricity running through wires get hot. I don't know if you ever touched a computer cable after you run it for a while. It's probably a little warm. It's because electricity is going through it. Now if you groom with your hands over here, this clipper is not very good for you. If you groom down here, it could be good for you. It's very powerful. It's more powerful than any Andis. A lot of people, or barbers, use them because they're slow and they're dependable. And they're not very much to maintenance if you keep the maintenance up. Alright, well, let's get to work on repairing this. So, take these screws out, unplug it so you don't shock yourself. So I'll take my own advice and do that. Okay, so this is a lever, this is a link, this is a gear. Okay, now even if you have a brand new one of these, brand new link, brand new gear, and you go like this and it still wobbles, this shaft is broken. Okay? Now, if you replace the gear, the link, lever, and this shaft's broken, it's still going to have play in here. It's going to leave lines in your cut. So, it always isn't this, but most of the time, it's this lever and this link that goes bad. It's $5 to replace both of them. So, it's not much. So, yeah. So, I would recommend getting those replaced all the time, just so you're always cutting good. Okay, this is a 2-speed gear. There's a washer at the bottom. You want to make sure that goes back in there, or this gear won't sit up high enough. Okay, let me explain. Grease around the gear goes in that hole and around this shaft. Grease does not go over here. This is a grease catcher. It catches all the nasty grease. So put clean grease over here and do not fill this area up. It's probably ruining your clipper. It probably will ruin your clipper because it's just dirty grease that's going to get mixed in with this. It's going to wear these little notches down. Then you'll need a new armature because it'll strip gears all the time. Sometimes these break, but only on the newer ones where these don't break anymore. They break right here instead. So you want to make sure that's not wobbling. Want to make sure that's not wobbling. Okay, so now we go to the brushes. This is called an oiler. It's to oil your clipper while it's running. What I do is just push my finger like that, put a couple drops until it stops sucking it in, and then you're all good. Okay, so you take the brushes off like this. Now, just replacing your brushes is not necessarily a good thing. You think your clipper is still running good because you keep replacing the brushes, but honestly, if this eats a set of brushes, you need to take this apart. If you pay me or if you do it yourself, but you got to do it. You got to clean the carbon out of there because that's just extra black stuff that can leave on humans or dogs, and also it could be collecting part of the electricity and causing heat. It could short out switches, cords, whatever, and you just don't want carbon in here. So just replacing the brushes may work for 2 or 3 times, but trust me, it won't work for very long. And you'll be buying a new clipper. Instead of spending $25 every 3 months, you'll be spending $200 every other month for a new clipper. Well, I don't know. It depends on how long you use it. But here's the brushes. So, see the little round area? You want to make sure that goes on the armature. Now, a lot of people put these in wrong. You put them in wrong, then I got to take it apart and bust it out from the inside. Bust these out because they got these little grooves in it. See the little flat lip? If that doesn't match in there, it's gonna get jammed. And then you're gonna have to pay me to fix it. Okay, so this is the end cap. Okay. Let's start. This is very hard for some people. 2 speeds, 1 speed. Okay, see the wire? 2 speeds, 1 speed. 1 cord, 2 switch wires. Now this center one goes to the other side of the cord. So what happens is electricity comes in through here, travels through there. Okay, and when they make connection, it works. So when these are on, then it uses this wire. So then both wires are used. If you didn't use any of these 3 wires and you just hook this wire up to the post, it would work, but every time you plug it in, it would just come on. So, 1 cord, well, if it was a 1 speed, it would only have 1 switch wire here, and then 1 switch wire here to the middle. I don't know if that explained it very good for y'all, but yeah. So the 2 outside to the switch go to this post. Then 1 wire goes here, one wire goes to the center of the switch as a neutral, so when it's off, it cuts that wire off. Now when it's on, it uses power from both wires. Okay, so that's about it. One speed will only have 2 of these wires, and it will only have 1 toggle positions instead of 2. And it's very easy to change it from 1 speed to 2 speed, but you might want to change your gear or you're going to have a turbo clipper. And you'll have to change your armature. Alright. Here's your screens. They keep hair out. I recommend having them on because Osters have to suck in air through here and push air out here. So if you don't have any screens, it's sucking hair in here, going all the way through your motor. And see, this person has a little coming out there. This is probably pretty dirty. Okay, now to get these apart, let me take this other brush apart. And ahead of myself. Okay, the springs are a little sad. Let's make them a little happier. Not very much, just, you just want to make a clean connection. Okay, what I do with this is I take this snap ring, especially since I don't have good snap ring pliers. I have little Radio Shack ones. I haven't bought nice ones yet. This ring is to help the case from breaking. You snap this ring, it'll bust your case wide open. So let me see if I can do this here. These are some Mint Craft Radio Shacks. Not very good, but they will work. So what I do is I pry it up a little, then I pop it out. Okay, then there's another ring right here. You want this in there. If it's not in there, then your clipper's gonna rattle. This one's pretty tight, but it'll still rattle. And basically, the field and armature they float in here. I'll show you how once I get it. Gotta hit it out to get it out. Okay, so this is the armature. 2-speed armature. See the black carbon? I'll take it on my polishing wheel. It won't grind anything away, but it will remove the black. Okay, so that's nice and shiny. Now removing that black is good because if you get enough of the black, then it shorts your armature out. Just like I said, how carbon gets stuck in there. Okay, this is your field. There's a bushing down in there with a spring that holds the bushing up. These are your 2 contacts. What I do is I always bend them up a little bit. Be careful you don't want to break them. So yeah, this looks pretty clean. I don't even see how there's wires that gets hot because electricity travels through these. See, it goes through here all the way around into the brushes. Okay, so what I do here is I take a little bit drop it down in there. I put a little on the end of the shaft here, and then I push it in, and then I make it go in and out because that's what the bushing does. So basically what this does is it frees up everything. See how this is a floating field? It just sits in the housing. It's really not bolted or anything. And then what I do right here is I get all the corrosion down in the bushing out of it because there's a little spring and it just helps it with its movement. So I oil the front, but first we'll set this aside. Let's go back to the housing. Okay, there's a plate right here. It's called a thrust plate. Well, anyways, this is a square piece of black plastic. Stupid camera. Anyway, what this does is if there's a little knot in it, you want to replace it. So basically the armature rides on in there, and when it wears out, then you could just replace this instead of replacing your whole case. It's a good idea. So now if your clipper sounds like it's like hitting something, it could just be that right there. Because if this wears out, then the fans hit the top of the bolts on the case. And then there's a bushing down in there. You don't want to forget that one either. Or bearing, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it's very much of a bearing since it doesn't have any balls in it. It's just a brass bushing. These are felts. Your clipper will still run without them. What they do is keep from hair getting down in here, and that's a good idea. Alright, so I oil the front of this bearing, bushing, and then a little bit on the armature here, and then I push it together. See, and then I make sure the hole lines up. If you have a little trouble, now you can do this, and then it'll pull it the other way, like a screwdriver, so you could push it either way. But if it doesn't want to do that, you need to be careful, because if you do it too hard, it'll break that, and then you'll have to replace the whole bottom of the field housing. Okay, so yeah, so just make sure you get it lined up right at first. Keep this on, put your washer back in. That's nice and snug. Take your snap ring pliers. And, sorry. You know, if I had better snap ring pliers, that's really easy. But I don't. So you want to make sure this is all the way down, and you could do that while your ring's still on, pushing these down just to make sure they pop into place. There you go. So there's that. There's the end. We're done with this ring. Let's go ahead and put the brushes back in. They're still good. If they get below half, I just replace them because I make sure it lasts for at least 3 months. And the link and lever usually I replace every time, just because they're moving parts and it's $5 extra, so might as well just get it taken care of so you don't get stuck there not grooming and just have a clipper that's making a lot of noise. Put the caps back on. You need those brass inserts around the brushes because they connect to the brass fittings in the field. So it may not work if the spring isn't touching any of that metal. It won't even get power. So it's good to put those back in. Alright, you take a little lube right here, put it around this, like so, put a little down in the hole, put it around there, put this on, make sure your washer's on, and then you can squirt a little in the hole, and then a little around the. And if you're feeling real crazy, you could put a little down in there, but try and don't get too crazy with it. See, this is bad grease. It just needs to be removed. See how black it is? You don't want that going back into the gear. So I see people fill that up all the time, and really they're just hurting their own clipper and wasting grease, making me have to clean out grease. It's just a waste of time, so please don't do it. Okay, there's grease around here. Put this on there, link, move it around. Put a little grease around here. Just put a little grease. Make it make it a happy link. Okay, see, I got grease all over. I take the back of this and then I line it up to the front. Bam, it's in there. Look at that, no play at all. That's how you want your clipper. This clipper will be for sale on my website for $70. You can purchase it all online through the website diamondedge2015.com, or you can just call me or text me or email me and I'll reply as soon as I can. Okay, so that's all clean. I bend the plate like this so when the screws push it down, then it flattens out. So see, it's like this, and then when you put the screws back in though, see, so then it meets and it goes all the way to the, see, that's how it looks. But when I put a screw in it, makes it look all gorgeous. Okay, see, that's a happy, pretty little plate. Okay, so the hinge is bad. Let me show you again. I can lift it up, that's bad. That shouldn't even ever be able to be lifted up by your fingernails without ripping them off. I'm sure someone can open it with their fingernails, but not me. It'd rip my fingernails off. So, take these off. And I got a 76 on my website for sale for $65. Okay, so go like this. Pop it off. And let's see if that looks bent. If it looks bent, you could just straighten it, or what I recommend is just replacing it just to ensure that it works. Because there's nothing worse when you get something back and it doesn't work. Especially for a $2.50 piece. Okay, let me get a new spring and I'll be right back. Okay, this is a brand new hinge. See those two little spring arms there? You want to make sure it goes in the see the little bitty holes in there. So what I do is I flip it upside down and I line it up, put them in the two holes, and then pop this front down. See? Now it's popped on there. Now it's all good. Watch. There's no way I can lift this. So that's a good hinge. Okay, so you put this back on. Pretty soon I'll have a GoPro going. Help make the repairs look a little funner. So you want a good flathead screwdriver for these, because stripping these out isn't pretty and it's not good to have a loose hinge. Be careful on over tightening these. What I've done before is I tightened them so tight I broke the heads off these screws, and then I had to replace the whole housing for free because it was my fault. But I learned my lesson from that one. So There you go. You want to pop your hinge up. See, it's hard to do even with a screwdriver. You want it nice and strong. You don't want your blade flopping around. Okay, remember I bent these up so they could touch these better. So let me blow the little hair out of here. There's none in the screens. You could take those off and blow them, but I could see there's none from the inside. Okay. See that little notch? That little notch needs to go here. I see people just grind that notch off and just do it how they want. That won't work. See how the contacts hit perfectly when the notch is lined up? And then I hold the housing on. Put the 2 screws back in. You want them snug, not too tight, or you'll break the end cap. The screws will go right through it, and you need those screws because it basically holds the field afloat so it doesn't hit each other and make a lot of noise. Another thing I see happen is a lot of people take off this nut ring. It's got to be there. Without it, this switch goes in and out, and those contacts in there just bust off the switch. I mean, you'll maybe get 2 months out of it, maybe, and it's going to be a bad switch. So if you're missing one of these, try not to use the clipper until you get one on. It's only like $1.99 for that piece, and it really does save you $6.99 in a switch price. So there we go. That's all together, and if it runs good, then I did my job right. If it doesn't run, then I'm gonna have to look horrible on this video. So there's high speed, there's low speed. Okay, now watch this. This is a floating field. So only do this if you took the clipper apart, because you got to reset it into the housing. So if your clipper's just running slow and hot, don't do this. It won't do anything. Okay, you hear high speed? Make sure the brushes are in there nice and good. And what it does is it makes that field float perfectly. See now? See how fast it's going now? I don't know if you can hear a difference. I can. But anyway, that's running very fast. And that sounds beautiful. It barely even makes any noise. Can't pop the blade up, that's good. Pop it with the latch. Pops down. Pops down, you gotta push it a little bit. There we go. That's perfect, guys. This will be for sale on my website, $70. Thank you. Please enjoy my channel, Clouds Diamond Sharpening. Clouds Diamond Sharpening. My email is cloudsdiamondsharp@gmail.com. Thank you. Have a good day. Hi, this is Nick George with Clouds Diamond Sharpening with another video for an A5 or 76. Let me start by explaining the difference. This is an A5, 2-speed, middle's off, low, high. The plates are different. The switches are different. The cords are different. The difference is a 76 is 1 speed, but they do make 76s 2 speed, but they're called Titans, and they have a long cord like an animal clipper. Barber clippers are shorter because they don't really have to move around the animal, they just move around a sitting human. Third difference is this hinge doesn't have a latch. It just has a hinge that holds the blade down. So this is an animal A5 2-speed clipper. You can change it easily by putting a 76 nameplate on it, change the hinge, change the cord, change the switch, and then it will be a fully barber clipper. But this is 2-speed, so it has a turbo gear. Doesn't matter, it'll just run faster in slow speed. But anyway, so let's get started by diagnosing the problem before we even plug it in. We can just see if anything's broken. You take this lever, wiggle it back and forth. There's really not much play, but if you look at the lever, well, yeah, it's not too bad. That probably doesn't need to be replaced. Okay, so we take the hinge. Uh-oh, I can lift it. That already tells me this hinge is weak and it's not going to hold a blade down. So here's a blade. It latches. Let's see how it doesn't stay down. It's because the hinge is bad. Now it's latched. So you gotta make sure it's latched. See, it doesn't latch. So this is bent. So you can push it and then it latches. See, watch. Doesn't latch. Then you push this. That's how you know that the latch needs to be replaced.